Rev up your engines!
Well, Mason sent an interesting email about how crappy his Jeep is. Dear Scotty, can you talk about this in your video? We got our $50,000 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee, October 2021, and we started to have issues at 10,000 miles, with the electronics going out at 10,000 miles, then 20,000 miles. It was knocking. Service transmission light came on. They said they fixed some wiring, but it still acted up. Then 50,000 miles, it had 5 recalls. And in the past summer, 2023, we took it in because it was knocking again. Then they told us we need new motor mounts, transmission mounts, and transmission pan because they were all bad. Then they said we changed the transmission fluid. It was full of metal shavings and they had to replace the transmission. Then it was still knocking. We brought it in and the manager deemed it unfixable and gave it back to us. We are currently at 52,000 miles and I want them to buy it back on arbitration. I've been warning people, Jeeps are rolling piles of crap, especially the Cherokees. Look at that. 52,000 miles, the transmission went out. Then it still had problems. They said, well, it's unfixable. And now he's arbitrating to get him to buy the stupid thing back. That just shows you the lack of quality. The quality of the Jeep started going down, which is kind of sad because with Mercedes, the quality was actually going up with the Jeeps, but now, still honest, it's gone completely down the toilet. So, yeah, learn from this guy's mistake. Don't buy one of those rolling pile of crap Jeep Cherokees because that's what they are. Well, Tesla's recalling thousands of their vehicles over a brake fluid problem. The system won't warn you if you run out of brake fluid, if there's a leak or something. And as per usual, how is Elon fixing his electronic cars? Of course, with a software update over the air. They don't want to have to bring the cars in and actually fix them. Oh, we'll just put a software update. That'll fix it. That'll be the end of that problem, right? Unbelievable. The nonsense that they're allowed to fix things with. I see it all the time with recalls. Well, you know, your emergency brake might not work, so we'll put a little warning sticker on there, right? I mean, it's ridiculous what they're allowed to get away with. They should be forced to fix the things correctly, not do a software update. Oh, the car's overheat, so if it gets too hot, it'll turn the car off, right? Yeah, that's a safe thing too when you're driving down the road. But they get away with crap like this. So there's no quality in these Teslas. Don't go out and buy one. Don't throw your money away. They're rich men's toys. I saw a whole bunch of them on the weekend because guess what? I was driving around in Rhode Island where there's all kinds of millionaires. One Tesla after another. Rich people who don't drive far. They can all go out and buy them. I don't care. I'm not going to buy one. And if you value your money, my advice is don't buy one either. Well, somebody shot a Tommy gun at a Tesla. You can see the bullet dings on there. And they said, oh, look, they didn't pierce. Elon said, they're virtually indestructible. They're almost bulletproof, blah, blah. So some guy got a Tommy gun and shot it. But it's made for shooting at people, not shooting at cars. As somebody else who commented on this video, the guy machine gunning the Tesla and said, look, it didn't go through the doors. Of course, he didn't shoot at the windows. It would have shattered them, but he shot at the door panels and they just showed dink. Any of the modern guns, AR-15, whatever, with pointed bullets, would have gone right through, shredded through them. They used an old antique Tommy gun made for shooting at people, shooting at metal. Stainless steel, right? And they don't have that much energy for penetrating steel. They're made for penetrating people. If you want to shoot at machines, you would use a 50 caliber machine gun that would punch right through both sides, right? Funny that somebody did it, but it's not proven anything unless you get your Tesla Cybertruck and you go back in time to the 1930s, then they won't be able to shoot through your doors with their Tommy guns, but they certainly will be able to shoot through the windows. So Jason, who says, what's your opinion on getting your car oil sprayed? Yeah, you're talking about spraying the bottom to keep it from rusting in the winter. Now, oil doesn't last forever, but you know, it does make quite a mess, but if you have somebody else do it someplace else, and you can park it until it all stops dripping somewhere else, it will keep it from rusting to some extent. There's a lot of people that do that kind of stuff. Now, you live in Texas, Arizona, whatever, you're wasting your money. Don't even bother. But if you live in a Rust Belt state, you know, not that bad of an idea. If your car isn't rusted. If it's all rusted now, you spray it on, it just seals the rust in it. It'll rust even faster. So realize once they're rusted, it's too late. As a preventative measure, yes. But if they're all rusted, nothing's going to save it. Chris says, my '06 CRV overheats when it doesn't move. The fan works sometimes. How do I troubleshoot it? All right, watch my video, How to Fix an Overheating Car. Scotty, watch it on YouTube. It'll show you absolutely everything you can check. Now, if it's full of coolant, park it and watch it. And if it overheats and the fan's not coming on, your fan system is breaking down. Okay, it's a Honda. They're pretty well made. 95% of the time, it means the motor's just wearing out. Buy an aftermarket motor, bolt it off and on. It takes 10 minutes on that car, and that'll fix. Now, of course, it could be a computer problem, not sending power to the fan maintenance. Could be all kinds of things. But with Hondas, 95% of the time, it's just the motor assembly is breaking down. You can buy them aftermarket, and they work perfectly fine. Just test, park it, run it. And if you see it starts overheating and the fan's not coming on, you know the fan's not working. Just replace the motor first. It's such an easy thing to do. And like I say, 95% of the time, that's what's wrong with a Honda. John Richards says, Scotty, my 2016 TRD needs an instrument cluster. 9 months later, they still can't get one. I'm fed up. All right, well, junkyards. If you can find one in a junkyard, get a junkyard dash. That's what I always used to do when I was in Houston. I'd say, how much is this dash? $800 something. I go to a junkyard, they sell me one for $80. Try the junkyards. Hey, it's worth a shot, you know? There's junkyards all over the country. They got ones on the internet. You can look all over North America. Somebody somewhere's got to have one. Moses Galapate says, is it cheaper to replace a whole automatic tranny unit rather than rebuilding it? Well, here's the problem. Most automatic transmissions, you cannot buy new. The only thing out there is used junkyard ones or supposedly rebuilt or remanufactured, kind of interchangeable words. They really don't mean anything these days. You really can't get an automatic transmission for most vehicles brand new. The companies don't sell them. They only, somebody somewhere rebuilds them or you get a used one. That's the problem. You can't really find them. Now, like it used to be, almost all the alternators and starters were rebuilt too, right? But now the Chinese make brand new ones, right? But that's a starter. That's an alternator that fit a bunch of cars. The Chinese don't make brand new automatic transmissions for your Toyota, Ford, GM. It's too big, complex of a part, right? So you're kind of screwed there. You really can never buy a brand new automatic transmission. That's why people have so many problems when they break, because then people don't fix them right, and it's not right. You get a junkyard one, who knows if it's worn out, but you can't buy a brand new one. They really don't make them. Mike Spano says, my engine's overheating after I used steel seal. I thought I had a bad head gasket on a 2010 Jeep 6-cylinder. It was smoking, had gray red smoke. Now, I was overheating according to the temperature gauge at 3/4. I took it in the road and went down to halfway, but then it shot back up and stays there. It is a 14-year-old Jeep 6-cylinder engine. A lot of times the engines just start to fall apart. Now, it was gray, white smoke. Odds are your head gasket was starting to blow. Sealer only can go so far. If you got little bitty holes, it can seal them, and then sometimes it works. But steel seal is a very strong sealer. The only real way in a modern vehicle like a 2010 Jeep you can even attempt to use steel seal is you have to drain all the coolant out, take the thermostat out, drain all the coolant out, use steel seal with only pure water. No coolant, because the modern coolant will coagulate with steel seal. It uses a chemical that mixes with the modern coolant and clogs everything up. Back in the day, when it was just the green antifreeze, it worked fine, but it doesn't work with the modern ones, right? You stop the smoking, but now it's overheating and it's hard to start. Odds are your head gasket is just shot and you'd have to rebuild it, but here's the thing. Once you put that steel seal in, if you put it in with the antifreeze that was in it, the modern day antifreeze, it'll clog up everything. Your radiator will need replacing. You're going to have to flush the whole system, the heater core. You can't add that to a system unless it's just pure water. And you also remove the thermostat because it can clog the thermostat. So, I mean, if you want to try a wild guess, take the thermostat out now. Maybe it just clogged the thermostat and it's stuck. And then see what happens. But from my experience, you had a blown head gasket, and that sealer can only seal so much. The smoke can stop, but now it's overheating. Change the thermostat, pray it's that. If it still overheats, then you're going to need a head gasket anyways, and now you're probably going to have to replace the radiator and also the heater core. You want to use sealers like that, you can only try them with pure water. Never mix them with the coolant. Chad says, my Honda Accord infotainment screen boots up, then reboots back a few seconds. What can I do to fix it? Thanks. Check your battery. Check the connections on the battery. Pray the battery's going out or the connections are corroded and loose. If not that, the other common thing is if the ignition switch, the electrical part of your ignition switch is going out, it will do that. And that's a pretty easy thing to replace. Now, past that, generally it means the infotainment screen's starting to break down. They cost a fortune. You can only get them at the Honda dealers. But often, you're losing electricity. And it's either the battery's weak, the terminals are corroded, or they're loose and wiggly, or the ignition switch, the electrical part, is starting to break down. And when you turn it, it has electricity, but then it doesn't, and then it does, and that's why the screen boots up and down. Pray it's one of those and not the screen itself, because the screens cost a fortune. Nobody sells them but the dealers, and they are a pain in the butt to install. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.